Hi, I'm Kaman and welcome to another episode of Asia Talk. Right now I'm the headquarters of Asian CineVision, also known as ACV, and my guest today is the Acting Executive Director, John Woo. You're watching Asia Talk. Hi John, welcome to the program.
Hi, thanks for coming down.
So first of all, what is the history behind Asian CineVision?
Well, there's a lot of dispute about that, and because there's no written history, and like a lot of ethnic communities, a lot of the history is told orally and in stories that are passed down. But Asian CineVision started out in 1976 as a media arts activist organization in New York City's Chinatown. And what led to that was the availability and coming onto the market of portable handheld video cameras, and the founders saw video and the media as a very powerful organizing and activist tool. And so they would take these video recorders, and remember the real black and white Sony decks, and go out in the streets and record interviews with people. They talk about issues of healthcare, English as a second language, housing, local Chinatown politics, and even to some extent entertainment. So if there was a talent that was coming to Chinatown, then they would arrange interviews for that, and they would use these materials to edit a half-hour TV show, which was called CCTV, Chinese Cable Television, which was broadcast on public access television. And they did this, a 30-minute program once a week. Mm-hmm. And also key to that was that they used the production of this half-hour television show to teach production skills to Chinatown youth. And so the kids would come, and they would recruit the kids through the program, and then they would come. They teach them like editing skills, production skills, writing skills, sound skills. So it was, and that time in the late '70s, there's a lot of stuff going on in New York City's Chinatown.
So from there, you blossomed into an international, independent media, non-profit organization that helps filmmakers to start off or produce films.
Well, the Asian American movement,
mm-hmm.
so they say, is maybe like 30, 40 years old. It came up around the time that the civil rights movement in this country was maturing, and so the Asian American activists would go to the big cities and to where they could really try to affect change. Mm-hmm. And at that time, we first started noticing that there were Asian Americans that were making films, and it was mostly short films at that time. And so in 1976, ACV presented the first Asian American International Film Festival.
So you were talking about the Asian American movement, and what do you classify as an Asian American film? So let's say if a Caucasian person makes a film about Asian Americans, would that be an Asian American film?
Good question, and a good point of debate, because ACV's mission has always been to exhibit, produce, preserve media expressions by and about Asian Americans, and I think that when we look at films for the film festival, first of all, they have to be of quality. They have fit our curatorial vision. Different communities have different audiences, and they program for their communities. However, when we look at films, we try to present the broadest possible program for all our audiences. So we look for good quality Asian American feature films, both documentary and narrative. We look for a representative of Asian films, both documentary and the short filmmakers. And the short filmmakers are really where you have the opportunity to discover new talent. And everybody looks at everything, and we digest everything. And every year, when we put the program together, the theme kind of gels. Like 2 years ago, we had a lot of good Asian American films that transcended Asian male identity. It was the first time that you observed this program of strong male characters that weren't stereotypical or had to do with identity politics. I think that it's really the way that we look at things. Identity politics is something that keeps evolving and you keep having to revisit it. But we try to make the films speak for themselves.
Okay. Who are the target audience for these Asian American films?
It's a broad range. It's a broad range of people who are interested in alternative politics and people who really just love the cinema. Our audience is split like 50-50 between Asians and other kinds of audiences. With short films, we can take some chances and present programs that you're never going to see someplace else. We can show a lot of animation, we can show a lot of experimental films, but it's also important that that we have a balance of like narrative storytelling and documentaries, and because those are the kind of films that people want to see. We no longer show the Jackie Chan films or the Jet Li films. We would show a Stephen Chow film.
Okay.
He's very interesting. But because you can see those films in your multiplex.
Yes.
A Jet Li film will open big on a weekend. And so we are more interested in those character-driven, independent Asian films of quality. And there's just a lot of them out there.
John, we're going on a short break right now.
Okay.
When we come back, we'll talk about the trends of Asians in Hollywood. Stay tuned.